We've reached a part of the simulation where preachers got you folks thinking that being aware of race relations in America or any other part of the world means that you're making color an idol. That's quite disturbing. I have a question for you. When those European boats came to the west coast of Africa and grabbed people that looked like me and you and took them, men, women, children, to different parts of the world, in Americas, right, in islands, and then subjugated them to slavery and servitude, was color an idol then when their only consideration was to grab people of color, black people that looked like me and you? And then as the world kept turning and continued, well, the Europeans said, oh, slavery is bad, but they continued to go back to that same land filled with nothing but black people, actually realized that we didn't make color an idol. They knew that since the days of slavery. We were more considerate of tribes, etc., right? And kept abusing our land, stealing and looting resources from us. Was color an idol then? And then you come to the Americas, particularly in the United States of America. You go through the Jim Crow era. You go through the war on drugs era, right? You go through all these different stages. Was color an idol then? The strongest thing about anti-blackness is the way that it can shapeshift, is the way that it can be processed and done by anyone else. You weren't even talking to me in this comment, but I've been seeing so many comments like this that I have to jump in, because anti-blackness is not only now done by white people, right? It can transform to self-hate. It can be tribalism. It can have you applying implicit bias on your own people, right? I'm not quite sure what part of the scripture this is. I was raised in a Christian household by a Christian mama who did not say things like this, who was aware of the world and how it's shaped. And is it fair? No. But she would never tell me that when a preacher who himself made this issue about color, that preacher was free to say, generally, let's be easy on our cops versus when, there are issues with our kids involved. He specifically said verbatim, let's stop blaming white cops on the unaliving of black children. In fact, he was the one that centered race. This is quite disturbing. I am not quite sure what's going on here, but let me put it plainly, like I used to say in my homeboys. White people are up 15 in the third quarter. They are up 15 in the third quarter, and they aren't letting up, because now the discussions is really just me trying to help a black person understand that a preacher, watch the full thing, was not using nuance, was not aware, was being inconsiderate, projected black people as the group that for some reason do not know how to either tell our kids or teach our kids to obey authority. When history shows that is what we've always been, that's what's been beat into us. Whether you go through the colonial days in Africa, whether you go through the racial tensions era that still exists now in America, right? It's, hey, behave. I'm not quite sure where we're going with this.